For us, the Annex technology has always been at the forefront of our concept and now proven out models. So roughly 2018, looking 4 or 5 years ago now, we always were implementing tech from the get-go. It wasn't a pain point for us, so to speak. We identified access as a pain point of the industry as a whole and sought out to create this new product. So we started working with Operto from inception, and throughout the entirety of our relationship, it's been one of the only pieces of software that's been able to keep up with kind of our ambitions on the tech front. And I can say that from inception to now, there's been an incredible amount of growth, but one thing has remained consistent is that the actual software itself, the platform as a whole, it works, which is one of the biggest indicators of a solid product within the hospitality space and more specifically tech. If I'm going to be completely truthful here, it's probably one of 2 pieces of technology that has remained throughout the entirety of our existence as we've continued to upgrade, and that's because they've continued to push the envelope. I mean, it's always with the times. It easily integrates with other aspects of a technology stack, and most importantly, it's reliable. Like the first question we get when we're speaking with investors or anyone of that nature is, well, what's the success rate of someone entering the room or the fail rate? And we have a less than 4% fail rate on access. That's definitely not typical of software in the space. And again, that's because of who we're working with. Look at it this way. I mean, you have corner stores to Amazon, you have taxi to Uber. The hospitality space, whether it be boutique hotels, short-term rentals, whatever it is, are still in that transition phase. And software like Operto is that next. It is how hotels, it's how accommodation businesses should view access and then all of the wonderful things that come with that. It's not a part of the puzzle, it's actually a large solution to the entirety of it. Like if you're gonna make the transition as a traditional operator to a tech-enabled product, it's a daunting world to get into. You don't know where to start, but with something like Operto, it's very obvious as to what it's going to do, and it's also extremely easy to implement too, and cost effective. Like the cost associated with doing so is very reasonable. So we're using it to manage our locks, and we're also using the platform as well, including some of the integrations that live on the platform for things like ID verification. So for us, Operto is really kind of our source of truth when it comes to both access and verification. Look, like in terms of the space itself, hospitality, technology, everyone's trying to do the all-encompassing solution, but the reality is most providers are good at one thing, whether that's the actual product, the sales cycle, the UX, the UI, and then there's customer service or customer support, which is a massively important part of technology. And I find specific to Operto, whenever we need something or if we have a question, even guidance on certain things, it's a very fast response, and it's also assistive, it's helpful. It's not just kind of lip service or here's an article. We'll actually, the team will listen to our problems, they'll understand, and they will provide a solution. And if that solution isn't an immediate fix, we're kept in the loop throughout the entirety of it. I'm not gonna use other names, but there's other software providers in the space in which you reach out and you'll get a response 3 weeks later, and that can be detrimental. Like technology for some operators is how you facilitate day-to-day operations. So it's timely is how I would sum it up. I can't go on record and saying we're the only hotel without a front desk. That being said, when we got into this space in 2018, our concept, again, at the time, had not been proven out at any sort of scale. Front desks are something that people think is a necessity to a hotel and accommodation business in general. For us, we wanted to kind of merge the worlds of short-term rental with the traditional hotel service and have it live under one roof. The type of hotel that we are, and this is kind of a slogan we've leaned in on, is high tech, low touch. To start with, you're looking at labor. That's something that continuously fluctuates. If you were to evaluate a standard 8-hour day of a front desk agent, you have spikes in time and usage, right? Like you're gonna be busy at checkout and check-in. Other than that, you're kind of standing there, and that's not really productive. We're using technology not to replace people, but to kind of repurpose their involvement. So as opposed to having a front desk agent, we have a host. They're able to deliver exceptional guest experience, customer service, tend to things in real times, and allow the technology stack in the background, including Operto, to facilitate all the task-oriented work. What that means is you're able to actually get in your Uber, we'll be forward thinking here, get in your Uber or ride sharing service, book the hotel on your phone, and access your room all in under 90 seconds without needing to download apps. You don't need to be technology savvy. This is all on something you know how to use well, which is your phone. And for the demographic that isn't using smartphones, they're still easily able to interact with our product as well. They just show up. You're eliminating unnecessary things like lining up at a front desk for the sake of it. I mean, specific to Operto, that's a huge piece or part of why we're able to make decisions like not having a front desk. It's all done pre-arrival. And if you show up on site, it's seamless, it's easy. Like you can complete your check-in at the same time as the person standing beside you. You can do it from the comfort of your phone, and you don't need to wait in a queue to deal with the one person who can help facilitate that. There's a number of benefits to having technology implemented in something as traditional as a hotel. When people became uncomfortable interacting, I mean, we've all, like, there's been songs written about 6 feet apart and things of that nature now. Because we are a touchless hotel, so to speak, you're able to actually facilitate your check-in, access your room without seeing other people. There was a tremendous amount of comfort from the consumer. So if you were to look at 100 hotels, I would kind of take a guesstimate and say less than 5% of those are set up to actually use technology in a way that allows them to repurpose the entirety of the operation. So we were able to, look, COVID was an extremely tough time, but we were also able to use our hotel to put up frontline healthcare workers at no cost to them. And again, we were only able to do that because of technology. We weren't going to throw our staff in front of people who were in hospitals during the height of the pandemic, but we were able to allow them to access our building and doors completely independent on their own, but also still provide that safety and security of knowing who's in the room, data to track, entries and exits, etc. So I think it's a perfect storm. If anything positive came out of the pandemic from an operations standpoint or for the industry, it was the kind of expediting the adoption of technology. I mean, operators now look and understand that you have to do that from a physical standpoint, as you mentioned, but also from a consumer standpoint. Like as the generations continue to come up and become consumers of the larger brands of the world in the hospitality space, there's different expectations. They're not interested in lining up at a front desk. Why would you wait for something like a hotel room when you don't have to wait for anything else? Why wouldn't we just do this off of a phone? So it's definitely keeping up with both things. I mean, it's largely beneficial to the industry as a whole. No, honestly, like if someone is asking for recommendations on opening a hotel, or even as we're evaluating additional properties, the first thing that always comes to mind when you're physically looking at it is, okay, what are we going to do to make this work? And for me, that's access immediately. It's the technology stack. It's Operto, like being at the forefront of that and being able to plug in a solution that we're familiar with and know immediately creates operational efficiencies, cost savings, and modernizes your offering too. Just by throwing in something, I'm not going to say as simple as Operto because it's a complex back-end system, but easy to use. It allows you to take on struggling businesses, revamp them with such minor adjustments. So Operto is the solution for future hoteliers and hotels that want to participate or contribute to the future of this industry. It's changing, and it's now an option to do so. Like, sure, you can still go the traditional route or you can go the technology-enabled route, but without question in the next 5 to 7 years, you're gonna see Operto in a lot of spaces that have kind of turned this area of hospitality away for a long time.